What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Stars and Garters. I am Katie Pettit, and here we are. It's finally here. I didn't always review consistently. I skipped a few episodes for a few weeks sometimes, but guess what? Here we are on the day when it is kind of supposed to be here. I am finally going to be reviewing the finale of X-Men 97. So yeah, you've hopefully seen all my thoughts on the other episodes. If you haven't, I would recommend those because I mean, because it's my podcast and I want plays, honestly. But if you haven't seen it yet, also you'll probably be pretty confused but I assume you have seen it if you're listening to the review, or you just really like my podcast. Because I don't know why, but hey, thanks. So, but yeah, I am going to give my thoughts on the finale. I'll spoiler, that's not a word, I got it. Spoiler alert, it is pretty sick. And I will tell you that they did not screw it up. They didn't do what I expected, but that's fine because at least they didn't completely ruin everything. Because, yeah, there was just so much writing on this finale. It's just like, okay, besides that Motendo episode, it's been like great all throughout, basically. You've been very X-Men, you've used comic storylines, the characters have all gotten spotlights, you've been doing it's been pretty good. Please don't mess it up. And like you got this one more moment, you've set up a lot of stuff. Just don't get weird, don't do stuff that's dumb. Don't mess up the story. Just just be good at your job. And I will say, I think they were. So let's get into it. If you will recall, the last episode before the finale ended with Wolverine getting the adamantium pulled out of his body, off of his bones, and the X-Men are in two groups. Some of them are fighting Bastion, some of them are fighting Magneto, and Xavier is about to have to like hijack Magneto's brain because he won't turn the world back on. So yeah, that's where we're at. So the finale, it starts in like a whole different setting. We're not there. We're not in the space We're not in space, and we're not in wherever they are with Bastion. I don't know, some jungle or something outside nature somewhere. It starts out in like this bar scene, and you see Charles and you see Magneto, and they're talking, just having a little conversation, which was a little confusing at first, but then it's quickly revealed that it's it's a part of it's like in his mind. It's Magneto's memory, and it's a part of Xavier getting into his brain to hijack his powers. But basically, it also is like establishing some like background and character for the two of them, because we haven't gotten to see much of Magneto and Xavier's relationship, because Xavier was pretending to be dead, and you know that's kind of hard to build a relationship with. But yeah, so this was actually pretty. Sorry, this is actually pretty nice to get to see their relationship. They always have like this. It's like their relationship is so interesting because they're just so close, but like it's never gotten weird. They're just really, really close, and they're genuine best friends, but they also have extremely different views on mutants. So this is like basically one of those conversations. They're talking about like mutant human relations, and then they both reveal to each other that they are mutants. And so Magneto is already expressing like doubt that humans will ever accept mutants, and Xavier's, doing his thing, saying they gotta cooperate and be helpful. So it's basically like showing who, you know, they are and how their relationship has worked, since we haven't gotten to see much of that. which was a pretty nice moment actually. I was definitely waiting for some follow up on the last episode, but I didn't think they were gonna drop it, so I wasn't like completely flabbergasted. It was just a nice little moment, especially considering the fact that they're like, there's gonna be a real rough moment ahead because um, right after that, after that memory is shown, and we see that it's part of Xavier getting into Magneto's brain, he does hijack his powers, which is, you know, that's a lot of things. It's like really, it's just rough because it's really sad, and it's kind of not okay because, like, hijacking some, like, getting into their brain and making them do something is like, that's just kind of fundamentally screwed up. But also, it was kind of necessary because, like, it's very hard to know how to feel about this because you probably should not be doing that to a person unless you need to turn the entire world back on. So, like, this circumstance, it's necessary, but I don't think that makes it okay. So this is like, it's a pretty big deal for him to hijack Magneto's powers, and it's very dangerous psychically. It could shatter their brains because, again, it's pretty rough, just like taking someone's, like, powers and using it against their will. But the world is back on now, so we get a few little random cameos like they've been doing of a few superheroes just kind of watching the world turn back on. We get to see Iron Man. Cap sees the world turn on again. Also, Doctor Strange is also watching this happen. So that was fun. Not really necessary, but who cares, As long as it's not weird. It's just fun. So that was nice. Um, I will admit at this point, since Wolverine had his adamantium pulled out and Magneto's powers got hijacked and the world's turning back on, I kind of forgot a little bit about the group with Bastion. But the last time we saw that group, Mr. Sinister and Bastion had kind of taken control of Cable and made him kill Jean. Um, so that was a pretty big deal. Like, I didn't know if they were trying to say, yeah, she's dead, or if they were like, it's just, I didn't know if she was dead or not. But so basically, you know, Bastion is still, he's still a problem. Okay, and he still has all his human sentinels. Like, they're still all like, he's doing pretty good. Bastion's doing pretty good right now. So he's kind of unleashing his sentinels all over the world, and we get to see some more superhero cameos because they're like, superheroes are having to come out and fight the human sentinels. So they're apparently in Wakanda because we see Black Panther. They throw Cloak and Dagger in there. I don't even know if most of you probably don't even know who those people are. I think they had a show. I think the show was not great. I didn't actually watch it. I just assume because I don't hear anyone talking about it. So, but they've always been very fascinating to me, and I know who they are. It's just a guy and a girl who have powers that are like connected or whatever, but it's a whole deal. Anyway, I knew who they are, and it was a fun cameo. And there was some other group I did not actually recognize. So they're going deep with these cameos, and I like it. I was like, oh wow, I don't even know who those guys are, it was pretty fun because they're really going for the cameos here, and I like that. Like getting into the comics actually, which is just, it's nice. Just do a little, like, I mean, I like, it doesn't detract anything from it for the people who don't know about the comics. It's just like a little quick scene that's just showing, the human sentinels attacking. But for the comics fans, it's really nice that they went there and like showed us that. Even though I didn't know who it was, but like, I mean, Cloak and Dagger and stuff like that. But anyway, more fun cameos. But anyway, I mean, it's not good. Even though there are cameos, it's bad. The human sentinels are attacking everywhere. Bastion is still in a really good spot right now. He's kind of winning. I mean, he is winning. And then Sinister has Cable all under his mind control, which is not nice. And he says some very mean things to Cable. So, he is about they're about to kill Cable, but like, you know, it's kind of on them for thinking that they could kill Jean Grey. Because like, if you know Jean Grey never died. She just doesn't die. She just doesn't. She always comes back. She might be dead, and she might be dead for a long time, and it might be a really big deal. But she will come back. I think that if they even tried to kill her off for good, like I think they have a rule or something. Jean Grey can't die. She just, and that's like, yes, that's a rule for most of the characters, which is kind of unfortunate, but it just is. But with Jean, it's kind of like at this point, I feel like she's the most like she will basically die a lot of times, but she'll always she's fine. Like, so that's on Bastion and Mr. Sinister for thinking that they could kill Jean Grey because she kind of very spectacularly, dramatically bursts out of the water where she might have been dead, but definitely isn't. And the Phoenix comes back, which is a big deal, with Jean Grey, if you didn't know. And the Phoenix comes back and takes over her, amps up her powers and all that, and she kind of she screws up Mr. Sinister real good. She like takes away she does something to his mind, and she breaks whatever is like keeping him. She like reveals his true form basically, which is really ugly and really old, and she makes him like really weak, so he can't control Cable, which is good. But as that's happening, and everyone's like, wow, Jean the Phoenix and blah blah blah, then they kind of forget about Bastion again. Bastion kind of rips off Cable's metal arm and beats him with it a little bit, and then actually a lot. And then he uses the technology, the futuristic technology, because Cable's from the future, and he uses it since he is essentially a human sentinel. He uses it to make himself even more super techy and powerful and evil. So that's bad. We don't like the bad guys getting even more powerful, except we do because we want the heroes to have a hard time, because that's fun for us. We're all very good people. So yeah, he basically is real mad. Uh, he's having a hard time right now, and things have suddenly turned not as good for him. So he flies off and he's like, whatever, I'm done with this. So he goes to Asteroid M, which is in space where the other X-Men are with Magneto. He goes to Asteroid M and he decides, I'm just gonna chuck this at Earth. I'm pretty much done with Earth right now. So he goes up to chuck the asteroid at Earth. And all the X-Men are up there, and also Earth is where they live, and they like people, so they are not cool with that. So, basically, all the X-Men that are there, first the X-Men that are there, obviously, the X-Men that had teamed up to fight Magneto, or the X-Men that were with Magneto, because now the tables have kind of turned, because Bastion's back, and you can't be, like, dealing with, your little inner circle fights when there's a robot human sentinel thing with future technology. Whatever, that's like about to kind of destroy the whole world. So everyone who was in space is like, let's go fight this guy, except for like Wolverine and Magneto and Charles, because they're dealing with their own injuries. Wolverine's still not doing great after getting stuff ripped out of his body. Even though he can heal, just like it was still not fun for his body. So anyway, the first one who kind of gets everyone gets a moment. Fight scene, this action sequence right here is great. Everyone gets a little moment to kind of beat on Bastion a little bit. Rogue goes first, I believe. I'm pretty sure she has the first like moment. And I was kind of, I had been, they had been wearing me down, but I think this was the moment. It was like, okay, Rogue you're cool again. Because I had gotten pretty mad at her throughout the series, and then again, the last episode when she was, not the last episode, but one of the later episodes where she went with Magneto. But I'd always thought Rogue was cool, even though she did some mean and stupid stuff. This was kind of like, I was like, okay, Rogue's cool again. I'm not mad at her anymore, because she gets her own little awesome action sequence, and she does it all. She makes it known that it's like in remembrance of Gambit, because he's still dead, which is crazy. He's not. What do you mean he's not back by the finale? That's silly. Um, but she says she says his name was Gambit. Remember it, and we do again. We still remember it because he went out like a champ. And anyway, but yeah, her moment is awesome. Again, everyone just like is coming together. Even so Sunspot, I believe this is the first time he's like, all right, call me Sunspot or whatever, and I was like, yes. Your name is Sunspot. Tell him, because I was mad at him before now, but it's just when they all start doing this cool beat up bad guy thing together, I'm not mad at them anymore, because it looks awesome. And so he goes full Sunspot mode, and he tells him his name is Sunspot, and he just starts throwing stuff at him, and it's great. Even Jubilee gets a moment. Like, literally right before her little moment where she beats on Bastion, my dad was like, what if Jubilee hits him with her fireworks? Which, yes, Jubilee's power is just little pew pew pew. Which, I never even paid attention to her power. I didn't know I thought she was just a vampire, because, fun fact, Jubilee used to be a vampire in the comics, and that's the comics that I read, so I thought that was it. But apparently her main thing is her little pew pew fireworks, is what she calls them. But yet she used that. She was doing pretty good against Bastion too. So everyone was helping out fighting Bastion, and it was pretty sick. Um, and they got him good too. He was looking rough. You didn't see it. They were like, you could see some of his robot parts, and he was bleeding robot blood, I think. So they were getting him. Also, and so after they get their moment of fighting him, then the people who were on Earth, who were not on Asteroid M, get there because they stole a Sentinel and flew it up there, like a non-active Sentinel or a non-killy mutant Sentinel, I'm assuming. And they fly it up there. Beast, specifically, obviously, is the one who flies it. And I'm like, who gave Beast a Sentinel? But like, where did he get that? But that's not important right now, because they're there and everybody's here and they're all gonna be here. So, they are all, so that includes, Cyclops and Jean. So everybody, and so the X-Men, they're the good guys, right? So after they're beating him up and he's kind of losing right now, they're kind of like, dude, like, this is kind of pointless, and humans aren't the worst thing ever. And so obviously, that does not really work, because he does think humans are the worst things ever. So Bastion kind of gives his side again of why humans are not great. And again, every time the villain is a villain because they don't like the way that humans are, then they make their speech about it. Like, they're kind of not wrong. Because sometimes humans do be like that. Humans are not great sometimes. Actually, a lot of times. So, like, every time Magneto talks about the humans being bad and that's why he's bad, I'm like, yeah, no, he's got a point. This one a little less so, because Bastion's was a little more personal, because he has a little more niche thing with him being a robot. Not a robot, but part robot? I don't know. Whatever he is. But still, he gave some valid reasons why humans are not great. And but obviously he's wrong. So as they're all fighting him, the people down on Earth, obviously the government is kind of noticing the asteroid situation, and so they're like, they start initiating, I believe it's called the Magneto protocols, which they didn't like Magneto so much that they decided they were gonna nuke something, because that's the answer to problems. So they start firing some nukes at the asteroid. Um, which, okay, if that's how you want to solve your problems, then I'm okie dokie. That's great. That's great for you. Um, except, no, it's not. Because the X-Men always make humans seem so stupid. And sometimes we just are. I'm like, Loki, yeah, somebody would try to nuke something. So they try to nuke the asteroid, and that just kind of makes it worse. It starts, it does not work, obviously. Why would it work? They tried to nuke an asteroid. But, so it makes the situation worse. But, so basically, the X-Men are all there, and they're like, oh no. Like, we're probably gonna die a little bit, because there's nukes coming at us, but, like, that would. And, like, there's nukes happening, and also this asteroid is falling, and it's not really a great situation right now. So they all decide they need to get together and fix it and kind of make the asteroid not hit Earth, but it's probably gonna make them all die. So, oh my goodness, what was it? Something happened, possibly the nuke, or so Jean is shielding all of the X-Men from the thing that happens that I forgot exactly what it was. But Bastion does not get in the shield. They offer him to get in the shield because it's Jean's psychic shield. So they offer him to get in the shield, and he does not get in the shield. He doesn't really make it, and he's not really, it's not about that. So Bastion does appear to die. Wink, wink. There's no way he's dead. But maybe he is dead. We don't know. But he does appear to die. So as of now, that's a problem solved. But the asteroid is still, so it's not all the problems solved, just the one. But all the Sentinels do shut down, so that's good. But yeah, so the X-Men are on this asteroid, and they're basically like, okay, so we're probably gonna die doing this. And a really sad thing happens because Cable didn't go with the X-Men who were on Earth because he got his arm ripped off and he's not doing well right now. But he's still on Earth and he's like in a cafe or something, and Jean, like, what's it, psychically? Yeah, she psychically talks to Cable and lets Cyclops and her talk to Cable psychically, because they're basically like, hey, we're gonna go die. And so that's a real tough conversation, because Cable is like, I wish I had actually gotten to grow up with you, and you guys had raised me, and I got to grow up here, which was sad, because even though it's like they were the Summers family for like a few moments, and they had some nice moments, but now, it's just sad and sad. But so after they basically say, "Hey, we're gonna go die," Jean, she does her psychic thing where she lets Scott be able to take off his glasses so that Cable can see his eyes, because he has Scott's eyes. And that hit different with the eyes, because he's not supposed to be able to do that, and he got to look his son in the eyes right before he was going to die. So that just hit. We like that's I don't know. We love that for Scott, but we also wish it wasn't when he was about to die. It's very sad, but also nice in a way. I don't know if nice is the word, because they're still about to die, but it was, touchy. That doesn't sound right. Touching? That's better. Anyway, so back on Asteroid M, obviously, where the whole thing is happening. So they kind of need Magneto to help move the asteroid and get it away from Earth, because it's like covered in metal. So but Magneto's, he just got his brain invaded and he's not doing too good right now. And Xavier's still trying to help him out of that, so they're kind of uh, out of commission right now. So as this is happening, Morph has a little moment. So Morph's thing, I don't think I've talked about Morph much at all. But his thing basically is that he can turn into other people and he like gets their powers too and everything. So um, it's a pretty cool power. But um, he chooses he's with Wolverine. Wolverine's still recovering. He's not in a great state and you know, all that. So Morph, he turns into Jean Grey and he says something like, "Don't die on me, I love you," or something like that. And I'm like, ooh, the sentiment is almost there, but nope, no, don't do that. That's weird. Even if you look like her and basically are her in every other way, you're not. So no, that's not okay. And then we're gonna forget that moment right there, and we're gonna pretend that Morph made a better decision and just said, "Get better, buddy," and didn't be weird. He's kind of a little weirdo otherwise, but this moment was like, that's don't do that. But anyway, aside from that, so we've got Magneto, we've got Xavier, and they really need to get their brains working again. So we go back into Magneto's brain because that's where Xavier is, and he's trying to get Magneto back. So in Magneto's mind, he's like he doesn't remember anything. He's like blah blah because he's all the stuff that's happened. He's basically been shattered psychically, and so Xavier is trying to like remind him of everything and be like the X-Men can be like because Magneto is remembering like not having a family and all the bad stuff that he doesn't need to remember. And Xavier's like, well, like the X-Men can be your family, and you this and this and this and all. And so basically, he reminds Magneto of all the X-Men and the things that they do and all of that. And long story short, Magneto lives. So Magneto comes back and he's like, "All right, time to do this thing," because he gets the asteroid, and he's moving it. He's doing the thing. It looks like their plan is about to work. Everything's good. Everything's fixed. And then wait just a second. It's gone. They're gone. The asteroid is gone. It just disappears. So yeah, that's how that scene ends. Um, they just it just yeah, everything was about to be good, and then it went away. It literally everything just disappeared. So after that little thing that happened, apparently, they it cuts to the next scene and it says 6 months later. So my reaction initially was, what do you mean? What do you mean 6 months later? What's happened in 6 months? Like what are we what just happened? Because obviously I don't know, and they're having to explain that to me. So apparently it's been 6 months since the asteroid disappeared with all the X-Men on it, and they're all presumed dead, but Forge and Cable are still looking for them because they're not dead. They're the X-Men. They don't die. But he's not like he doesn't know how to find them. So it's kind of look. I can see how this would maybe be a little annoying slash confusing if you weren't an X-Men fan, but I am, and there's some X-Men-y stuff that gets put in here, so I'm not gonna be mad that it's time travel. They get thrown across the times, and that's what happened. We don't know how, we don't know who did it, but we just know they're thrown across the times. So yes, I understand people don't like being in different times, but I do. So shut up. And this way you can do a bunch of X-Men things with multiple of the X-Men things that are different, set in different time periods, but all at the same time. It's kind of cheating, but I admire it. I don't. I will. I'm not familiar. Like I don't. I don't think, or I'm not familiar with a story where a comic story that where they get like displaced throughout time in different groups. So basically, in the show, the two groups are like everyone else, and then the other group is, I'm pretty sure it was just Jean and Cyclops. I didn't see anyone else. But, so like at the very end, they kind of drop like a bunch of bombs. So, where the majority of the X-Men are, it's this desert in like 3000 BC in Egypt, and they meet this guy, and he looks a little weird. He looks like a weirdo, but they're like being friendly to him, telling them who they are, and they ask him who he is, and he says his name is Ensabaner, which is a thing. Don't know much about him, but I definitely know the name, and I'm like 90% sure he's a bad guy. He doesn't look evil at the moment, but it's also 3000 BC, so he probably turns evil. um, but I know he's a big deal. I know he's a bad guy and that he exists in the comics, so that's fun. And then it gets real interesting where Scott and Jean are, because they are in the future and they meet this like clan of people. And I got real excited because I can't remember the main like lady who was like in charge of the clan or whatever. She said, I can't remember in what context, I can't remember the sentence, but she said the word Ascani, and I know that word because I know it was a code name of another Summers kid. um Rachel, I'm pretty sure it's Rachel Gray. um or Hope Summers. There's a few Summers kids. I think it's Rachel. It might be Hope. Pretty sure it's Rachel. Anyway, but Ascani is like one of her code names, and it has something to do with her, and I kind of like her. She's kind of interesting in the comics, so that's fun. She looks really old though, which, but whatever. And then we see a young Cable where they are because he was in the future. So technically, in the future, he's young because he was sent in the future as a baby. So he's not a baby, but he's definitely much younger. Um, so they see that. So that's pretty intense for them. They probably don't know that this Ascani lady is their kid, but I can't remember if they recognize Cable or not. But it's a big deal for them because it's their children. And then big bomb drop. We get back to Earth in the present day, and we see Apocalypse. He has a slightly burnt playing card. If you don't know, that's Gambit's thing is playing cards. He likes to throw them, and he lights them up. So that Gambit alive, probably. So that's how that one ends. Apocalypse and Gambit? Question mark. So yeah, basically, overall that finale, it was. I thought it was really sick. It had all the moments and it brought them together. It brought like it had great little character moments for all of the characters. Again, it's been doing that throughout the whole thing. It had a lot of like just arc moments like the Summers family, and just Magneto and Charles, and just all of this stuff. Even Rogue got a moment. Sunspot. Everyone's getting all these moments, and it was all coming to this nice conclusion. And the fun thing about this was that they did tie up some ends that they had left for the first season, but then they opened a lot of new ones for the second season, which I think is pretty nice. I don't know where they're gonna go with it because again, I don't know anything about this kind of storyline happen. I know bits and pieces, but I couldn't tell you where they're gonna go. So it's pretty exciting. Just like watching it was exciting, seeing everything come together, and it's exciting because of what possibly is gonna happen in season 2. Hopefully, they don't screw it up again. I just people screw stuff up a lot, so like just got to be worried about that. But they really did not screw up the season. In fact, I'd say they made a good show this season. So far, X-Men 97 was a very good show. Overall, since this is finale, just my overall thoughts on the series. First of all, for some of the more minor, less not less important, but more, I guess, less important, but only slightly so. Like not story stuff. But so the animation is sick. It looks great. The style is, it's just like very nostalgic, but also still really good, and it looks really cool, and everything looks great, and it just is fun to watch, and it just looks awesome. Everything is animated well. The voice acting is actually very impressive. It's I don't know any of these voice actors, so they actually had to try to impress me, which they did. They were giving some very, like, I guess, acting-ish. What is the word? They had to really act in some of these lines because, X-Men drama, that kind of thing. It's just, um, and it was very impressive. I watched the what do they call it? Assembled of this. They do, Marvel does a, if you don't know, Marvel does a little assembled thing where they show the making of all their TV shows. Basically, I watched some movies, and I watched the assembled for X-Men '97. Saw all the voice actors, and it was really cool. It was especially cool seeing some of the old voice actors come back. I did not watch the original series, but I'm sure that like it is very nostalgic and nice for people who did watch the original series. So I think the original actors that they brought back were Storm, Wolverine, and Rogue. And then I think the actor who played Cable played Gambit in the original series, which that's, he did a really good job as Cable, so I don't know why they switched. But and then I think the guy who voiced Nightcrawler also voiced him in the original series. I'm not totally sure on that one. But so that's nice. I didn't know who those people were, but it was still really cool. And they all did a very impressive job. All the action in the series is great. For my like personal taste, I probably would have wanted a little bit more. But like it was, you know, the like it was more that when they did have it, it was really really fun and exciting. So it was okay that it wasn't there as much as I like, because it was great every time it was there. Just great, yeah, really good action. And then of course the story, just so the main thing about the story is it felt very right. It felt like an X-Men story. Like this is something that the X-Men, this is like a story that actually makes sense for the X-Men. They weren't trying to do anything crazy and super different and weird and trying to prove some new point about this character or what. Like they were like, these are the X-Men. This is X-Men stuff. And we're gonna make an X-Men story out of X-Men stuff, and that's, yeah, that works for an X-Men show, shockingly. So, yeah, it was just everything. It was an X-Men story, and it was done very well. And everything is leading to a very exciting season 2. So, yeah. Um, Overall, I guess I should rate it. Honestly, I would probably say, hmm, um, oof. I should have thought about this before. Okay, so I'm just gonna give you initial response. 4.5. No, yes, 4.5 out of 5. The 0.5 is subtracted because of the Motendo episode. I didn't necessarily. It ended up being like, it ended up leading somewhere, and it led somewhere good, but in the moment it was just so weird. And you know I mean, yeah, I'm not like super feeling a 5, but it's really good. It's really enjoyable. So 4.5 out of 5 right now. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you've been listening to all my reviews, thanks. And what do you think of this ending? Where do you think it's just? I'm just gonna put, what did you think of the ending? That can mean where do you think it's gonna go? What did you think of the whole series? Just what are your thoughts after this finale? Did you enjoy the finale episode itself? Like, just tell me what you thought. Because I thought it was really awesome. And share, follow, like, subscribe, all the things, do the normal stuff that you do, and tell other people to do them so I get more numbers on my thing that I do this from. But yeah, that's it. I will see you guys next time. Bye.